Today, we're going to explore how thinking differently can completely transform the way you live, learn, and grow. Now, why is this important? Because the truth is, most people live on autopilot. They follow the same habits, make the same decisions, and then feel frustrated when nothing changes. But here's the exciting part. Change doesn't start with giant leaps. It starts with small shifts in the way you think. Just imagine what could happen if you learned how to pause, ask better questions, and open yourself to new ideas. Suddenly, you're not stuck anymore. You're moving forward. In this video, you'll discover practical steps you can apply right away to start thinking differently. I'll guide you through simple, everyday habits that can change the way you see challenges, opportunities, and even yourself. And here's the best part. By the end of this video, you'll feel ready and inspired to take your first step today. Not tomorrow, not someday, but today. So stay with me until the end, because I promise, the insights you'll gain here could be the spark that changes your entire life. Common thinking traps that hold us back. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to follow what everyone else is doing? We see friends, family, or colleagues making certain choices, and we think, this must be the right way. We copy them without asking ourselves if it truly fits us. This is one of the most common thinking traps, and it happens to almost everyone. Imagine a young woman named Sarah. She loves drawing and wants to learn digital art, but her friends all play sports and tell her that art is not useful. Sarah listens to them and decides to join a sports club instead. She follows the crowd and leaves her passion behind. Weeks pass, and she feels empty and frustrated. She has missed the joy of drawing and the chance to discover a talent she could have developed. Following the crowd seems safe, but it often stops us from finding what we truly enjoy and what makes us special. Another trap is fear of mistakes. Many people worry too much about failing. They avoid trying new things because they do not want to look foolish or be judged by others. Think about Tom, a man who wants to start learning English speaking online. He is afraid he will speak slowly or make mistakes. So, he never tries. Days turn into weeks and months pass. His fear keeps him stuck in the same place, and he misses opportunities to improve. On the other hand, his friend Maya also wants to learn English. She speaks slowly at first, and she makes many mistakes, but she keeps practicing every day. Over time, Maya becomes confident and fluent. The difference is that Maya did not let fear stop her. Making mistakes is not a failure, it is a step toward growth. Old habits are another thinking trap. Habits make life easier, but sometimes they hold us back. We do the same things every day without thinking. We eat the same foods, take the same routes, and follow the same routines. Habits can make life comfortable, but they can also keep our minds closed. Imagine a man named James. He always wakes up, drinks coffee, and watches TV for an hour. He wants to be healthier and learn something new, but he continues the same routine. One day, he decides to take a short walk before breakfast. He notices fresh air, a new street, and a small park he had never seen. This tiny change feels exciting. Slowly, he adds more small changes, like reading a book or trying a new recipe. Breaking old habits can be scary at first, but it can open new doors and new ways of thinking. Sometimes, we mix these traps together. Following the crowd, fearing mistakes, and sticking to old habits can create a life that feels safe but empty. Many people feel stuck because they do not notice these traps. They think, this is just how life is, and they forget that change is possible. You might recognize these patterns in your own life. Maybe you avoid trying a new hobby, a new skill, or meeting new people because it feels uncomfortable. This is normal, but it also shows where you can start thinking differently. The key is awareness. When you notice a thinking trap, pause and ask yourself, am I doing this because it is safe or because it truly matters to me? When Sarah noticed she avoided art for her friends, she began to draw for herself, even if just 10 minutes a day. When Tom realized fear held him back, he started speaking English to himself in the mirror. When James saw his old habits were limiting him, he added small changes to his daily routine. Awareness allows small actions to grow into bigger changes. Taking small risks can be powerful. You do not need to make huge changes overnight. Even tiny steps can lead to discoveries and opportunities you never imagined. For example, trying a new hobby once a week may reveal hidden talents. Speaking a few sentences in a new language may boost your confidence. Walking a different path may show you a part of your city you never knew existed. Contrast this with staying in the same routine, avoiding risks, and letting fear control your decisions. The small risks are the seeds of growth. It is also important to remember that everyone experiences these traps. You are not alone. Even successful people have made mistakes, tried new things, and faced fear. The difference is that they notice the traps and choose to act anyway. They take small steps to break habits, question the crowd, and embrace mistakes. Slowly, these steps create a new mindset, a mindset that sees opportunities instead of limits. One simple exercise to start noticing traps is to write down one thing you avoid every day. It could be speaking to someone new, trying a different recipe, or learning a small skill. Then ask yourself why you avoid it. Are you following the crowd, fearing mistakes, or sticking to old habits? Writing it down helps you see patterns clearly. Next, choose one small action you can take to challenge that trap. Even a tiny step can create a sense of progress and confidence. As you begin to notice and act on these traps, you will start to feel more control over your life. You will see that thinking differently is not about making big, sudden changes. It is about recognizing patterns that hold you back and choosing new ways to act. Sarah, Tom, and James all discovered this. Their small choices led to growth, joy, and new skills. They moved from fear and routine to curiosity and confidence. By understanding common thinking traps, you are already preparing for a shift in your mindset. The next step is to see how small changes in thinking can create big results in your life. Awareness alone is not enough. Action is needed. In the next part, we will explore simple habits and small practices that train your mind to think differently every day. These habits are like tiny sparks that can grow into a bright fire of creativity, confidence, and new opportunities. You are ready to take the first step. The power of curiosity and asking. Why? Curiosity is one of the most powerful tools we have for thinking differently. It is the small spark that can lead to big discoveries, new ideas, and unexpected solutions. Imagine a child named Lily. She asks why about everything. Why is the sky blue? Why do birds sing? Why can't we make chocolate for breakfast? At first, adults sometimes find her questions annoying, but her curiosity allows her to notice things that others overlook. One day, while trying to fix a broken toy, she asks, "Why doesn't it work?" Instead of following the instructions blindly, she examines the parts carefully. She discovers a small gear is missing and finds a simple solution. Her curiosity turned a problem into a learning opportunity. Now imagine someone else, Alex, who never asks questions. He always follows the instructions and never wonders if there is a better way. When Alex's toy breaks, he gives up immediately. He does not notice the missing gear or think of a solution. Life for Alex feels routine, safe, and predictable, but also limited. The contrast is clear. Curiosity allows Lily to explore, learn, and create, while avoiding questions keeps Alex stuck in the same place. Curiosity does not require big actions. It can start with small questions in daily life. For example, when you see a new object, ask, "How does this work?" If you try a new food, ask, "Why does it taste this way?" When you meet someone from another country, ask, "Why do they do this differently?" These small questions open your mind to new perspectives and possibilities. Observing details that others ignore can lead to unexpected discoveries. A small change in how you look at the world can create a big difference in how you think. Another way curiosity helps is by helping you solve problems creatively. When you ask why or what if, you open doors to ideas that others miss. Think about a simple example, a broken chair. Someone might throw it away immediately. But a curious mind asks, "Why did it break?" Or, "What else can I do with it?" They might repair it, make it into a small table, or even use the wood for another project. By asking questions, ordinary situations become opportunities to learn and innovate. Curiosity also helps you notice patterns. Lily, the curious child, observed the way birds build nests. She noticed that twigs and leaves are always arranged in a special way. She asked, "Why do they do this?" Adults might have ignored the detail, but her question led her to an idea for a small project at school about nature and engineering. This shows that curiosity can help you connect ideas in new ways. It allows you to see solutions that others might miss because they do not ask questions. Many people stop being curious as they grow older. They feel they already know enough or that asking questions is a sign of weakness. They accept routines and rules without thinking. This is another thinking trap. When we stop asking why, we limit our potential. Opportunities pass by unnoticed, and life feels repetitive. On the other hand, a curious person always finds something new to learn. They notice details, ask questions, and explore possibilities. Over time, curiosity becomes a habit, and this habit leads to creativity, confidence, and growth. The beauty of curiosity is that it can be practiced anywhere. You do not need special tools or a classroom. On your way to work, notice something new. Ask yourself, "Why is this happening?" Or, "What if I tried this differently?" When reading a book, pause and ask, "Why did this character make that choice?" Even in simple conversations, asking thoughtful questions can open your mind to new ideas and perspectives. These small actions strengthen your thinking and encourage creative problem solving. Curiosity also helps overcome fear. When you ask questions instead of avoiding problems, you turn fear into opportunity. For example, if you are afraid to try a new hobby, ask, "Why am I afraid? What can I learn from this?" Instead of feeling stuck, you begin to explore. This mindset gradually transforms challenges into adventures. Curiosity gives you courage because it focuses on learning and discovery rather than failure. To practice curiosity today, start with one small step. Pick one thing in your daily life that you usually ignore. It could be a small problem, a new object, or a person you meet. Ask at least 3 why or how questions about it. Write your answers or think about them carefully. Notice the patterns, the connections, and the small details you may have missed before. Over time, you will see that your mind starts to notice opportunities and solutions naturally, without effort. Lily's story reminds us that curiosity is not about knowing everything. It is about asking questions and exploring possibilities. It is about noticing small things that others miss and using them to learn and grow. By practicing curiosity every day, you can start thinking differently and seeing the world in a new way. This skill becomes a foundation for creative problem solving. When you combine curiosity with action, you discover solutions, ideas, and opportunities that others overlook. As you begin to ask questions and explore your surroundings, you will notice that ordinary problems start to feel like puzzles. You will begin to imagine multiple solutions and see things from different angles. This mindset is the next step in thinking differently. In the next section, we will explore how small daily habits and simple actions can train your mind to approach problems creatively. You will see how curiosity, combined with small habits, can create real change in your life, helping you solve problems in ways you never thought possible. Small daily habits that train your mind. Many people think that changing the way we think requires big actions or dramatic life changes. In reality, small daily habits can have a huge impact over time. Imagine a man named Daniel. Every morning, he writes down one new idea in a small notebook. It could be as simple as, I can try a new recipe, or I want to talk to a new neighbor. At first, the ideas seem small and unimportant, but after a few weeks, Daniel notices something amazing. His mind starts looking for new possibilities automatically. His thoughts become more flexible, and he begins seeing opportunities in places he used to ignore. A tiny habit, repeated consistently, trains his mind to think differently. Contrast Daniel's experience with someone named Emma. Emma does not keep any habits. She wakes up, goes to work, and repeats the same routine every day. She never writes down ideas, tries new paths, or talks to new people. Months pass, and she feels stuck. Her mind is comfortable, but narrow, and she misses chances to learn and grow. This shows how small habits, when done consistently, can make a bigger difference than sporadic, large efforts. Daily habits can take many forms. One simple habit is changing your route to work or school. Even a small change, like walking a different street, can give your mind new experiences. You may notice a small cafe, a colorful flower, or an interesting building. These small observations stimulate your brain, and over time, they make your mind more open and creative. In contrast, following the same route every day trains your mind to ignore details and stay in routine. Another habit is talking to someone different. Perhaps you usually talk only to your friends or colleagues. One day, choose to speak to someone new, a neighbor, a colleague you rarely interact with, or someone in a class. Ask simple questions about their experiences or ideas. Listening to different perspectives expands your thinking and encourages empathy. The contrast is clear. Staying in your usual circle keeps your mind limited, while meeting new people broadens your view. Even tiny habits, like reading one paragraph of a new topic, can train your mind. For example, reading a short article about plants, history, or technology exposes your brain to unfamiliar ideas. You may notice connections to your own life that you never thought about. Reading only familiar topics keeps your thoughts safe, but it does not challenge your brain or inspire new ideas. The habit of exploring small, new pieces of knowledge can gradually create a mind that is curious, flexible, and ready to solve problems. Consistency is more important than speed. Some people try to make big changes too fast. They start 5 new habits at once, but cannot maintain them. The result is frustration and giving up. Small habits, repeated every day, create real transformation. For example, writing 1 idea a day is better than writing 20 ideas on one day and nothing for the next month. Over time, daily practice strengthens the brain's ability to notice patterns, think creatively, and adapt to new situations. Small habits also teach discipline. Even a simple routine, like drinking water in the morning or taking a 10-minute walk, trains the mind to follow a plan. When your brain experiences small discipline, it becomes easier to apply it to thinking differently. You begin to notice opportunities, ask questions, and solve problems naturally. Without small habits, thinking differently feels random or forced. With them, it becomes a natural part of your life. The key is to start simple. Choose one small habit that feels easy to do every day. Perhaps it is writing one idea, walking a new route, speaking to someone new, or reading something unfamiliar. Commit to it for a week, then gradually add more habits. Small steps create momentum. Each completed habit gives a small sense of achievement, which motivates you to continue. Over time, these small actions grow into a powerful routine that shapes your thinking. Even tiny creative exercises, like imagining a different ending to a story or drawing a small sketch, can train your mind. When repeated daily, these exercises improve flexibility and open-mindedness. People who never practice small creative habits often find it hard to think in new ways. They see only one solution to a problem. Those who practice daily habits develop a habit of exploring multiple solutions, noticing details, and imagining possibilities. Daniel's story shows the power of small habits. By consistently doing small actions, he changed the way he thinks. His mind became curious, creative, and ready to notice opportunities. He did not need dramatic change or big effort. Small, consistent actions created lasting transformation. In contrast, people who resist small changes remain stuck in old patterns, limited by routine, and often frustrated by a lack of progress. As you begin to notice these small habits, remember that their purpose is not just to fill your day, but to train your mind. Daily actions act like a gym for your brain, strengthening your ability to see new ideas, solve problems, and approach life differently. You may start with tiny steps, but the effects compound quickly. Soon, small habits will give you the confidence and creativity to face challenges in ways you never thought possible. These habits are more than just routines. They are the foundation for thinking differently. When your mind is trained through consistent small actions, you are prepared to tackle challenges with creativity and flexibility. In the next section, we will explore how this trained mind can solve problems creatively. You will learn practical ways to approach challenges with new ideas and see opportunities where others see obstacles. Small habits prepare you for bigger thinking, and the journey of discovery is just beginning. Creative problem solving. Made simple. Problems are a part of life. We all face challenges at work, school, or at home. Some problems are small, like fixing a broken chair, while others feel much bigger, like planning a project or solving a work issue. Many people face these problems the same way. They give up too early, copy what others do, or follow usual solutions without thinking. Imagine a woman named Anna. At her office, the printer always jams, and everyone complains but continues to use it the same way. Most people try a quick fix and leave, thinking nothing can change. Anna decides to approach the problem differently. She observes how people use the printer, writes down each step, and asks herself, why does it jam here? She notices that people pull the paper too quickly and often put the wrong type of paper in the tray. Anna suggests a small change: slow down and use the correct paper. The printer stops jamming and everyone is happier. By thinking differently, Anna solved a problem that seemed normal and unsolvable to others. Contrast Anna's success with people who follow the usual routine. They see a jammed printer and immediately assume it is broken. They complain or avoid the problem. They miss the chance to find a simple solution that works. The lesson is clear. Approaching problems from new angles makes a huge difference. Creativity is not about magic. It is about observing carefully, asking questions, and trying different possibilities. One practical way to think differently is using what-if thinking. Ask yourself, what if I tried this differently? Or, what if I reversed the usual steps? For example, if you cannot reach a customer by email, ask, what if I try calling them or sending a message on social media? If a recipe does not turn out well, ask, what if I change the order of ingredients or cook it at a different temperature? Small what-if experiments open the mind to possibilities that seem impossible at first. Another technique is looking for the opposite idea. When you face a problem, imagine doing the opposite of what everyone else does. If everyone avoids a crowded street, try it at a different time or take a small detour. If your team always solves problems in the same way, suggest a completely new approach. Opposite thinking can reveal solutions that no one considered. For instance, a small cafe struggled to attract customers because they followed trends from larger chains. The owner decided to try the opposite: a quiet, cozy environment with homemade food instead of flashy promotions. Slowly, customers began to enjoy the unique atmosphere, and the cafe grew. Small opposite choices led to success. Breaking a problem into smaller parts also helps. Imagine a student who cannot finish a big assignment. Most students see the task as impossible and delay it. A creative approach is to divide the assignment into smaller steps, focus on one step at a time, and celebrate each small achievement. Breaking a problem into pieces makes it less scary and easier to handle. Many people ignore this technique, and they feel stressed or stuck. Creative thinkers use this method to solve problems efficiently and confidently. Creative problem solving also involves observing carefully. Many people see a problem but miss small details. For example, a person struggling with a messy desk may focus only on throwing things away. A creative thinker looks closer. Why do items pile up? Maybe the desk lacks drawers or labels. By observing the cause, the solution becomes obvious. Small details often contain big answers, but only a curious and creative mind notices them. Confidence grows when you practice creative problem solving. Each time you try a new approach and succeed, you trust yourself more. Even small successes matter. For example, a young man named Leo wanted to fix a leaking faucet at home. Most people would call a plumber immediately, but Leo decided to try himself. He watched a short video, gathered tools, and tried a new method. The first attempt failed, but he learned from it and succeeded on the second try. The experience gave him confidence, and next time he faced a household problem, he approached it with a calm and creative mind. Confidence and problem-solving grow together. Many people give up too quickly because they focus only on the first solution that comes to mind. They assume there is only one way to fix a problem. Creative thinkers know there are usually several possibilities. They experiment, try new angles, and accept small failures as part of learning. For example, a teacher struggled to engage students during online lessons. Following the usual method of lectures did not work. She tried several approaches: short videos, group games, and interactive quizzes. Each method brought small improvements, and after a few weeks, the students were more involved. Experimenting and exploring new angles helped her succeed where others failed. Creative problem solving also opens opportunities in life. People who think differently often see solutions where others see obstacles. They notice opportunities at work, in relationships, and in personal projects. A simple habit of asking, "What if?" trying the opposite, or breaking problems into smaller parts becomes a skill that improves decision-making in many areas. Life feels less stressful, and challenges become chances to learn and grow. Even small challenges at home or work can teach you to think creatively. Start with one small problem each day. Observe it carefully. Ask what-if questions, and consider opposite ideas. Take notes and reflect on what worked and what didn't. Over time, your mind becomes trained to approach challenges in new ways automatically. You will start seeing patterns, possibilities, and solutions that others miss. Anna's story, Leo's faucet, and the teacher's students all show that creative problem-solving is not about being smart or lucky. It is about curiosity, observation, and experimenting with new angles. You do not need big resources or extraordinary skills. Small, consistent actions and fresh thinking are enough to solve problems effectively. Contrast this with giving up too early, following the usual solutions, or ignoring small details. The difference is clear. Creative thinking turns challenges into opportunities. As you practice these techniques, your confidence will grow. You will see that problems are not obstacles, but opportunities to think differently. Small experiments, careful observation, and fresh ideas become habits that guide your decisions. The skills you develop in creative problem solving also improve other areas of life. You will notice better opportunities at work, find smarter solutions in personal projects, and approach challenges with calm and confidence. In the next section, we will explore how failure and mistakes can become powerful teachers. Creative problem solving is connected to learning from errors. When you face challenges and try new solutions, mistakes will happen. Understanding how to learn from them turns every problem into a chance for growth. These techniques, combined with curiosity and small habits, prepare you to face life with creativity, confidence, and opportunity. Learning from failure and mistakes. Failure is something everyone experiences, but many people fear it. They worry about embarrassment, criticism, or losing time and effort. This fear often stops them from trying new things. Imagine a young man named Daniel who wanted to cook a special dinner for his family. He followed a recipe, but the meal burned and the sauce spilled. He felt embarrassed and disappointed. He wanted to give up and never cook again. For a moment, he thought, I am not good at this. Maybe I should just order food next time. Many people react this way, letting fear of failure stop them from growing. But failure does not have to be a dead end. Instead, it can be a powerful teacher. Daniel decided to try again. He looked at what went wrong the first time. He realized he had left the heat too high and did not read the steps carefully. He tried a smaller portion the next day, followed the instructions more carefully, and adjusted the timing. This time, the meal was delicious, and his family praised him. Daniel learned that mistakes are not punishment. They are information. Each failure shows us what does not work and guides us to what could work. Contrast this with someone who never tries because of fear. Imagine Sarah, who wanted to speak English in public but worried about making mistakes. She avoided speaking altogether. Months passed, and she did not improve. Her fear kept her small. In contrast, someone like Daniel, who tries, fails, and tries again, grows with each attempt. Small failures become stepping stones for improvement, building skill, confidence, and resilience. Fear keeps people stuck, while learning from mistakes helps people move forward. Mistakes also teach humility and patience. When things go wrong, it reminds us that perfection is not immediate. Learning is a process. For example, a student named Leo tried to fix a computer error at work, but accidentally deleted the wrong file. At first, he felt panic and shame. But instead of giving up, he carefully restored the data and asked for guidance from a colleague. He learned new methods to avoid the same mistake in the future. Leo's confidence grew because he realized errors are not the end, they are opportunities to learn. A simple way to use failure as a teacher is to pause after a mistake and ask, what can I learn from this? Write it down if possible. This changes your perspective from shame to curiosity. Each error contains valuable lessons about your approach, your habits, or your thinking patterns. Over time, you begin to notice patterns. Mistakes happen for a reason, and they guide you toward improvement. Small failures are often better teachers than big ones. Imagine trying a new sport. You fall a few times while learning, but each fall teaches balance, patience, and technique. If you avoid the sport entirely out of fear, you miss the opportunity to grow. The same principle applies to work, relationships, or learning new skills. Each small failure gives feedback and helps you adjust your actions for better results. Fear keeps people away from learning, but those who face small failures step closer to success. Learning from mistakes also builds creativity. When we try something and it fails, we are forced to think differently. We look for new solutions, ask questions, and test alternatives. This process strengthens our mind and develops problem-solving skills. Daniel, after burning the dinner, tried different cooking techniques, adjusted ingredients, and experimented safely. His creativity grew because he used failure as a guide, not a reason to quit. Contrast this with people who avoid failure. They often miss creative solutions because they never take risks. Another benefit of embracing failure is resilience. Each time you recover from a mistake, your confidence grows. You learn to face challenges calmly and find solutions instead of panicking. For example, a teacher who accidentally skipped a page in class could feel embarrassed, but by quickly adjusting the lesson and moving forward, she keeps the students engaged and learns to handle unexpected problems smoothly. Life is full of mistakes, but those who learn from them grow stronger and more capable. It is important to remember that failing does not make you weak or bad. Everyone makes mistakes, even experts. What matters is how you respond. Do you hide, blame, or quit? Or do you pause, analyze, and try again? Each choice shapes your growth. Those who see errors as information, not punishment, build confidence, creativity, and wisdom. They understand that mistakes are part of life and part of learning. A practical exercise to start learning from mistakes is simple. Think of a recent small failure, such as missing a bus, burning food, or giving a wrong answer. Write down what happened, what caused it, and what you could do differently next time. This reflection turns failure into a tool for improvement. Over time, you will naturally see failures as stepping stones rather than obstacles. Daniel's cooking story, Leo fixing the computer, and the teacher skipping pages all show that mistakes are not the end. They are guides to doing better. Contrast this with fear-driven inaction, where people remain small and limited. The difference is powerful. Learning from mistakes opens doors, while fear closes them. When you adopt this mindset, you prepare yourself to break mental limits. Recognizing that mistakes are part of growth allows you to try things you once avoided. You begin to see possibilities beyond your comfort zone. The next step in thinking differently is understanding how to overcome mental blocks, self-doubt, and limiting beliefs. Learning from failure gives you the courage and clarity to challenge these limits and grow in ways you never thought possible. Breaking free from mental limits. Many people live with invisible barriers in their minds. These barriers are called mental limits. They are thoughts like, I am not creative, I am bad at learning, or I cannot change. These beliefs are not always true, but they feel real. They stop people from trying new things, taking risks, or believing in themselves. Imagine a young woman named Mia. She always thought she was bad at learning languages. In school, she struggled with English and often felt embarrassed. She avoided speaking in class and believed she would never improve. Her fear and self-doubt kept her small and limited. She thought, "This is just who I am." One day, Mia decided to try something different. She joined a small English conversation group with friendly people. At first, she made mistakes and felt nervous, but she kept trying. Slowly, she discovered that she could remember new words quickly and speak simple sentences with confidence. Mia realized that her belief about being bad at learning was not true. She had hidden potential all along, waiting to be discovered. The difference was that she challenged her mental limits and took action. Contrast this with staying in the old belief. If Mia had never tried, she would still think she could not learn, missing the chance to grow. Mental limits often appear as fear of change. People like to stay in comfort zones because it feels safe. Trying something new can feel risky or uncomfortable. Imagine a man named Paul who always followed the same routine. He worked the same hours, ate the same meals, and avoided learning new skills. One day, he wanted to improve his work performance but felt nervous about learning new software. His mind told him, "I am too old to learn this." Many people listen to thoughts like Paul's, and they remain stuck. But when Paul decided to start slowly, learning one step at a time, he discovered he could master the software. His confidence grew, and he saw that fear and old beliefs had been holding him back. Another mental limit is thinking, "I am not creative." Many people believe creativity is only for artists or special people. But creativity is simply finding new ways to solve problems or express ideas. Imagine a young man named Ravi. He never tried drawing because he believed he could not be creative. One day, he joined a small drawing class for fun. At first, his sketches were simple, but he enjoyed the process. Over weeks, he discovered patterns, colors, and ideas he had never noticed before. Ravi realized that creativity was a skill, not a talent he lacked. By trying something new, he broke the mental limit and found hidden ability. Breaking mental limits requires self-reflection. One simple exercise is to write down beliefs that stop you from trying new things. Ask yourself, is this belief true? How do I know? For example, write, "I am bad at learning." Then reflect, have I ever succeeded in learning something new? What small steps can I take to improve? This exercise helps you notice thoughts that are holding you back and open space for new possibilities. Another exercise is positive reinforcement. Each time you try something new, no matter how small, acknowledge it. Mia noticed that speaking one sentence in English was an achievement. Ravi celebrated finishing a small sketch. Paul congratulated himself for completing one lesson in new software. Small recognition trains your mind to focus on growth instead of failure. Mental limits shrink when you consistently take small steps and celebrate progress. It is also helpful to experiment with new experiences regularly. Mental limits thrive in routines and repetition. When you try a new route to work, taste a new food, or talk to someone different, you expand your mind. Even small actions remind your brain that it is capable of adapting, learning, and solving new problems. Over time, these small experiments build confidence and reduce fear. Mental limits lose power when we repeatedly prove to ourselves that change is possible. Comparison shows the difference clearly. Limiting beliefs keep people stuck, scared, and small. They see only what they think they can do. When someone challenges those beliefs, like Mia, Ravi, or Paul, they discover hidden potential, confidence, and abilities they never knew they had. The key is action. Mental limits cannot be removed by thinking alone. They require trying, reflecting, and experimenting. Another way to break mental limits is to imagine your best possible self. Close your eyes and picture what you could do if fear and doubt were not present. How would you speak, create, or act? This simple visualization helps your brain imagine possibilities beyond current limits. It encourages action and builds motivation to try new things. Combining reflection, positive reinforcement, and visualization is a powerful way to expand your mind and reduce self-imposed barriers. Breaking mental limits also involves challenging comparisons with others. Many people feel they are not good enough because they see others succeed easily. But everyone has their own journey. Comparing yourself to others can create unnecessary limits. Instead, focus on small personal progress. Mia improved one sentence at a time. Ravi finished one drawing at a time. Paul completed one software lesson at a time. This step-by-step progress shows that mental limits are not fixed. They can be expanded gradually with patience and persistence. Consistency matters. Breaking mental limits is not a one-time event. It is a process. Each small step adds up, like training a muscle. Over weeks and months, trying new skills, reflecting on beliefs, celebrating small wins, and experimenting with new experiences strengthens your mind. Gradually, the once invisible limits fade, and you begin to act with confidence, creativity, and courage. When mental limits are reduced, you can make better decisions. Fear and doubt no longer control your choices. You begin to see opportunities and solutions that seemed impossible before. Mia spoke in English confidently. Ravi created art he never imagined. Paul mastered new software. Their growth shows that challenging mental limits changes not only what you can do, but also how you think. Confidence grows, curiosity expands, and life becomes richer. This mindset prepares you for the next step, using new thinking to make better decisions in daily life. When mental limits shrink, you are free to explore options, solve problems, and take actions that lead to success. Breaking mental limits is the foundation for better thinking, more creativity, and stronger confidence. The next section will show how to apply this mindset to daily decisions, helping you see new paths, make smarter choices, and create opportunities in work, school, and life. Making better decisions with different thinking. Every day we make many decisions. Some are small, like what to eat for breakfast, and some are bigger, like how to spend money, how to study, or how to improve our health. Often, people make these choices without thinking much. They follow old habits, routines, or the easiest option. But when you learn to think differently, you can make decisions that create better results in your life. The power of different thinking is that it allows you to see new options, try smarter methods, and avoid mistakes that come from acting without reflection. Imagine two students. The first student studies for exams by reading notes again and again. This is the way he always studied, so he never questions it. He spends many hours but still forgets important information during the test. He feels frustrated because he works hard but doesn't see good results. The second student decides to think differently. Instead of only reading notes, she experiments with other methods, summarizing ideas in her own words, explaining concepts to a friend, and testing herself with questions. She studies less time, but remembers more. Her success comes not from working harder, but from making better decisions about how to study. This same principle works in daily life. Take the example of health. Many people follow the habit of eating fast food because it is easy, cheap, and quick. At first, it feels fine, but over time, their energy drops, their health suffers, and they feel tired. They made decisions without questioning them. Another person decides to pause and think differently. Instead of asking, "What is easy now?" they ask, "What choice will give me more energy later?" By choosing healthier meals, preparing simple home-cooked food, or drinking more water, this person feels stronger, more focused, and healthier. The decision to think differently creates long-term benefits. Money is another area where thinking differently changes everything. Imagine someone who spends money quickly whenever they feel stressed or bored. They buy clothes, gadgets, or snacks without asking questions. At the end of the month, they feel trapped by bills and debt. Their decision-making is automatic and emotional. Now, compare with another person who decides to pause before spending. Each time they want to buy something, they ask, "Do I really need this? What else could I do with this money?" Sometimes they choose to save instead. Over time, they build financial security. The difference is not luck. It is the power of making better decisions through thoughtful thinking. So how can you practice this kind of decision-making? The first step is pausing. Many poor decisions come from rushing or acting without reflection. Before choosing, take a short pause. Even 10 seconds can help. In that pause, you give your brain time to consider options instead of reacting automatically. The second step is imagining alternatives. Ask yourself, what else could I do? This simple question opens new doors. For example, if you usually spend the evening watching TV, you could ask, what else could I do with this time? Maybe you could read a book, go for a walk, call a friend, or practice a skill. By imagining alternatives, you break free from habits and open possibilities. The third step is testing small experiments. You don't have to make big changes immediately. Try small ones. If you want to improve your health, test one new breakfast recipe. If you want to save money, try waiting one day before buying something. If you want to study better, test one new method. These small experiments help you learn what works best for you. Over time, your decisions become smarter because they are based on experience, not just habit. It is also important to learn from results. Good decision-making is not about being perfect. Sometimes you will choose something that doesn't work. That is not failure. It is feedback. For example, maybe you try waking up earlier to study but you feel too tired. That doesn't mean you cannot succeed. It means you need to adjust. Maybe studying in the afternoon works better. Each result, whether good or bad, gives information that helps you make better choices next time. The difference between following habits blindly and thinking differently is clear. People who never question their routines often repeat the same mistakes. They feel stuck because they do not explore other options. But people who pause, ask questions, and experiment discover smarter ways of living. They build healthier habits, save more money, study better, and make choices that lead to growth. Thinking differently also creates confidence. When you know you can explore options and improve, you stop feeling trapped. You realize that even if one choice doesn't work, there are always other paths. This freedom gives you courage to take risks, try new things, and move forward in life. Another benefit of better decision-making is that it creates bigger opportunities. A small decision today can open doors tomorrow. For example, choosing to join a new class might lead to meeting helpful people. Choosing to save money instead of spending might lead to starting a small project. Choosing to study in a new way might lead to better grades and future opportunities. These possibilities grow because of one simple habit: thinking differently before making decisions. Comparison makes the lesson clear. One person eats the same food, spends without thinking, studies the same way, and feels stuck. Another person pauses, asks questions, experiments, and grows stronger, smarter, and more confident. The difference is not talent, money, or luck. It is the habit of making decisions with different thinking. To practice, start small. Today, before making one choice about food, money, study, or free time, pause and ask yourself, what else could I do? Even if you make the same decision as before, the act of questioning is powerful. Over time, this habit becomes natural, and your decisions improve automatically. As you practice, remember that decision-making is a skill, not a gift. Anyone can learn it. Each pause, each question, and each small experiment trains your mind to see more possibilities. Over weeks and months, you will notice changes in your confidence, your results, and your opportunities. Better decision-making is not only about solving today's problems. It also opens the door to creativity in life. When you think differently, you start to see connections, new ideas, and opportunities that others miss. This is the bridge to the next step, using creativity not only for decisions, but for building bigger dreams and possibilities. Thinking differently about choices prepares you to think differently about life itself. Stories of real-life transformation. Stories are powerful because they show us what is possible. They remind us that real people, with real struggles, can change their lives by thinking differently. These transformations are not always sudden or magical. They are built through small shifts in mindset, courage to try something new, and the decision to keep moving forward even after mistakes. In this section, we will look at 3 stories of people who changed their lives through new ways of thinking. Each story will contrast their life before and after, so you can see clearly how transformation happens. Story 1. From fear of speaking to confidence in communication. Maria was a young woman who always avoided speaking in public. At school, she would sit at the back of the classroom and never raise her hand. At work, she let others lead meetings while she stayed silent. Inside, she had many ideas, but fear controlled her. She believed, I am just not good at speaking. Her routine was safe but small. Do her job quietly, avoid attention, and hope no one asked her to present. One day, her boss asked her to give a short update in front of the team. She felt her heart race. Her hands shook as she spoke, and she rushed through her words. She was embarrassed, and she told herself again, See? I cannot do this. At first, she wanted to give up completely. But then she decided to think differently. Instead of seeing the experience as proof of failure, she asked, What can I learn from this? She started small. Each day, she practiced saying one clear sentence in front of the mirror. At work, she tried sharing just one idea during meetings. Slowly, she built confidence. She also joined a local speaking club where people practiced together. At first, she made mistakes, forgot words, and felt nervous, but she kept learning. Months later, something amazing happened. She was asked again to give a presentation. This time, she spoke clearly, made eye contact, and shared her ideas with confidence. People listened, asked questions, and respected her input. Her transformation was clear. Before, she lived in fear and silence. After, she gained confidence, respect, and new opportunities at work. Her success came not from being born confident, but from thinking differently about failure. Instead of hiding, she used mistakes as practice. Her story shows that small changes in thinking can unlock big growth. Story 2. From struggling worker to creative entrepreneur. David worked long hours at a factory job. Each day was the same. Wake up early, work hard, come home tired. His pay was just enough to cover bills, but he felt stuck. He often thought, "This is my life. Nothing can change." His routine was safe but lifeless. He admired people who had their own businesses, but believed he was not creative enough or not smart enough to do the same. One weekend, his friend asked for help fixing an old piece of furniture. David had always enjoyed working with his hands, so he repaired it carefully. His friend was impressed and told him, "You're really good at this. You could sell these." At first, David laughed it off, but later he started to think differently. What if he tried? He began by restoring small items and selling them online. At first, sales were slow. He made mistakes with pricing and delivery. Some customers complained. He felt discouraged and thought about quitting. But then he remembered his old life at the factory, endless days with no growth. He decided to see mistakes not as reasons to stop, but as lessons to improve. Over time, he learned how to market better, how to price fairly, and how to improve quality. His small side project grew into a full business. He left the factory job and now works for himself, creating unique furniture pieces. His life before was routine, tired, and hopeless. His life after is full of creativity, independence, and pride. David's transformation teaches us that thinking differently about our skills, seeing them not as hobbies, but as opportunities, can change the direction of life completely. Story 3. From failure in studies to success in learning. Sophie was a student who always struggled with exams. She studied hard, spending long nights reading textbooks, but her grades stayed low. She started to believe she was not intelligent. Teachers and family members gave advice, but nothing seemed to work. She thought, "Maybe I'm just not good at learning." After failing an important test, Sophie felt broken. But instead of giving up, she decided to look at the problem differently. She asked herself, "What if the problem is not me, but the way I study?" This simple shift changed everything. She began to experiment. Instead of reading passively, she tried active recall, testing herself on small sections. Instead of studying alone, she formed a group where they explained topics to each other. She also learned to take short breaks so her brain could rest and absorb more. At first, progress was slow. Old habits were hard to break, but step by step, she improved. Months later, she took another exam and passed with a much higher score. She gained confidence and realized she could learn effectively if she used better strategies. Her life before was full of frustration and self-doubt. Her life after was full of hope and motivation. She even started helping other students who struggled, showing them new ways to learn. Sophie's story proves that failure does not define intelligence. By thinking differently about learning, she turned weakness into strength, the lesson of transformation. What do these stories teach us? Each person started in a place of fear, doubt, or routine. Maria was silent, David was stuck, and Sophie felt unintelligent. They all faced mistakes, risks, and discouragement. But instead of accepting limits, they chose to think differently. They asked new questions, tried new approaches, and turned failures into lessons. The contrast between before and after is clear. Before, fear, confusion, small routines. After, confidence, creativity, success, and new opportunities. The power of change did not come from talent or luck. It came from mindset. the decision to see problems differently and act on new ideas. These are not just their stories. They can be your story too. Change is possible for anyone who chooses to think differently. You do not need to change everything at once. Start with one small step. Ask a new question. Try a different approach. Take a risk, even if you make mistakes. Each step builds momentum, and over time, you will see your own transformation. This brings us to the final step. Now that you have seen how new ways of thinking can transform lives, it is time to take action in your own. The next section will show you how to begin your journey and take the first step toward thinking differently every day. How to start thinking differently today. Every journey begins with a single step. The same is true for thinking differently. It does not require a sudden dramatic change or a complete reinvention of your life overnight. What it requires is a choice. The decision to begin, right here, right now. Many people wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect opportunity. But waiting often leads to nothing. The truth is, the first step matters more than the perfect step. Today, we will explore how you can start thinking differently, even in small ways, and how those small actions can grow into life-changing results. Let's start with a simple contrast. Imagine two people. The first person says, "I want to change, but I'll wait until I feel ready." Days pass, then weeks, then months. Nothing happens because waiting never creates progress. The second person feels the same fear, the same hesitation, but instead of waiting, they take one small action today. They read a new book, try a new habit, or ask themselves one new question. That single choice creates movement. Step by step, small changes build momentum. The difference between doing nothing and taking the first step is the difference between staying stuck and creating transformation. So how can you take your first step today? Here is a practical guide you can follow. Step 1. Start with awareness. The first step to thinking differently is noticing your current thoughts. Many of us live on autopilot. We repeat the same patterns, habits, and beliefs without questioning them. To change, you must pause and ask, what thoughts guide my actions each day? Do they help me grow, or do they hold me back? For example, maybe you often think, "I can't do this," or "I'm not smart enough." Instead of accepting those thoughts as truth, notice them. Awareness is powerful because once you see a limiting belief, you can challenge it. Try this today. When a negative thought appears, write it down. Then ask, is this thought really true? Or is it just a habit of my mind? This small practice plants the seed of different thinking. Step 2. Ask better questions. The quality of your life often depends on the quality of your questions. Instead of asking, "Why am I failing?" try asking, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of asking, "Why me?" try asking, "What can I do differently next time?" Great thinkers are not people with all the answers. They are people who ask better questions. Every time you shift your question, you shift your perspective. Try this today. Whenever you face a challenge, pause and ask, what else could I do? What is another way to see this problem? These simple questions unlock creativity and open doors to solutions you didn't notice before. Step 3. Practice curiosity. Every day. Thinking differently begins with curiosity. Curiosity is the courage to explore something new, even when it feels uncomfortable. The best way to practice curiosity is to step outside your routine in small ways. Read a book from a subject you know nothing about. Talk to someone with a different background. Try a new food, walk a new path, or listen to a new kind of music. These small acts remind your brain that life is wider than your current habits. Curiosity does not require money or big effort. It requires openness. When you stay curious, your mind becomes flexible, and flexible minds create fresh solutions. Step 4. Build small habits of change. Thinking differently becomes easier when you support it with daily habits. Big dreams can feel overwhelming, but small habits are manageable and powerful. For example, set aside 5 minutes each morning to reflect on one question. What can I do today that is different from yesterday? It might be a new study method, a new workout, or simply greeting someone you usually ignore. Over time, these micro changes add up. Another useful habit is journaling. At the end of the day, write one thing you did differently and one lesson you learned. This practice trains your brain to notice growth. Step 5. Use the power of pausing. In daily life, many decisions are automatic. We choose the same food, follow the same routines, and react the same way to challenges. To think differently, you must pause. That pause creates space between impulse and action. When you face a decision, take a breath and ask, do I want to follow the old way or try a new way? That single pause can change your choices. It might lead to healthier food, smarter spending, or kinder words. Over time, these new decisions shape a better life. Step 6. Accept mistakes as part of the process. Thinking differently does not guarantee instant success. You will try new things, and sometimes they won't work. That is normal. What matters is how you respond. Instead of saying, I failed, say, I learned something new. Each mistake is information. Each setback is training for the future. The most successful people are not those who never fail. They are those who never stop learning. When you accept mistakes as teachers, you free yourself from fear. That freedom allows you to take risks, and risks are where growth happens. A guiding story, the power of the first step. To bring this all together, let's follow one story. Imagine a man named Daniel. He lived many years feeling stuck in routine. Every day was the same: work, home, sleep. He often told himself, this is just who I am. Nothing will change. But inside, he wanted more. One evening, he made a small choice. Instead of sitting on the couch after work, he opened a notebook and wrote down one question. What is one thing I can do differently tomorrow? He decided to wake up 10 minutes earlier and go for a short walk. The next day, he did it. It felt small, almost meaningless, but it gave him energy. The following week, he asked another question. What skill could I try learning? He chose to study a new language for 10 minutes a day. At first, it was difficult, but he kept going. Weeks later, he noticed progress. His mindset slowly shifted. He was no longer saying, I can't change. Instead, he was saying, what else can I try? Months later, Daniel looked back and realized his life was no longer the same. He had better health, new confidence, and even new friends from his language group. None of this happened overnight. It all began with one small step, the decision to think differently about his life. This story is not about Daniel alone. It can be about you. The power of change lies in one decision, the choice to begin. A warm encouragement. Thinking differently is not a race. You don't need to compare your journey to anyone else. You don't need to achieve everything today. All you need is the courage to start. Take one small step, build one new habit, ask one better question. With each choice, you shape a new way of living. Remember, doing nothing changes nothing. Taking one step creates movement, and movement creates transformation. You have the ability to think differently. You have the ability to create growth, opportunity, and change in your life. And the best time to begin is not tomorrow, it is today. So take your first step now. Choose curiosity, choose awareness, choose action. Thinking differently is a journey, and your journey begins the moment you decide to start. Thank you so much for watching today's video here on Read and Learn English. I hope you found these ideas powerful, practical, and inspiring. Remember, thinking differently is not about doing everything perfectly. It's about choosing small steps that lead to big changes. Every decision you make today can shape your tomorrow. Now, here's my call to action for you. Don't just watch this video, apply it. Pause before your next decision, ask yourself a better question, or try one new habit. Even the smallest step can open a door to growth. And when you do that consistently, you'll see how your life begins to transform in ways you never imagined.